I never thought a single strand of pearls could unravel a family like a noose tightening around your neck. That Christmas Eve, as the snow piled up outside our McMansion in upscale Greenwich, Connecticut, my half-brother Ethan handed Victoria, my father's new wife, the Ice Queen herself, a velvet box that might as well have been a grenade. She gasped, all fake tears and fluttering lashes, while Dad beamed like he'd just closed a merger on Wall Street.
Me? Luna?
The original daughter, the one who'd scrubbed blood from the foyer tiles 5 years ago to cover up his mess? I got a goddamn fruitcake from the help, wrapped in yesterday's comics. And just like that, the knife I'd been twisting in my gut for half a decade sharpened to a razor's edge. But here's the hook that still keeps me up at night. I didn't snap right there over the turkey and cranberry sauce. No, I smiled, raised my glass of spiked eggnog, and toasted to family secrets staying buried. Victoria's eyes met mine across the table, cold, calculating, like a shark scenting chum.
She knew.
Oh, she fucking knew I'd take the fall for her little indiscretion back in 19, the one that landed me in juvie for a crime that wasn't mine. Manslaughter, they called it. A drunk driver? Bullshit. It was her lover, some sleazy contractor she'd been screwing in the guest house, who wrapped his truck around a tree after she spiked his scotch with roofies to cut ties. I was 16, home from boarding school early, and I cleaned it up because Dad begged me to, said it'd destroy the empire if it got out. Victoria whispered in his ear that night, her manicured nails digging into his arm. Let Luna handle it, Richard. She's tough. Like me. Liar. She was silk over steel, and I was the patsy who paid the price. Ethan, oblivious as ever, clinked his fork against his champagne flute, pulling everyone back to the farce. To Mom, Victoria, for making this the best holiday yet.
Mom.
The word hit like a sucker punch. My real mom had OD'd on pills when I was 10, chasing the high of Dad's endless affairs. Victoria swooped in 2 years later, all Southern belle charm masking her viper soul, turning our home into her personal boardroom. She controlled the purse strings now, whispered stock tips that ballooned Dad's hedge fund to 9 figures, and betted half the board while he golfed at Pebble Beach. Ethan, her golden boy from a previous marriage she conveniently forgot to mention until the prenup dust settled, worshipped her. Me? I was the ghost in the attic, the black sheep with a juvie record that killed my Yale dreams and left me slinging lattes at a Stanford Starbucks. As the evening dragged on, with Bing Crosby crooning, White Christmas from the Bose speakers and the caterers clearing plates like ghosts in black ties, I slipped out to the solarium. The glass walls fogged with my breath, the fairy lights twinkling like mocking stars. I lit a cigarette, Marlboros smuggled from the corner bodega, and stared at the necklace now draped around Victoria's throat, diamonds catching the firelight like tiny accusations. That's when it happened. Or started happening. A low hum, like the subwoofer from hell, vibrated through the floorboards. My phone buzzed in my pocket, not a text, but something glitchy, an app I downloaded on a whim last week from some dark web forum. Soul Swap, it was called. Urban legend bullshit for insomniacs. Upload your deepest grudge, sync biometrics via that creepy AR filter, and
Poof.
bodies trade places for 24 hours. Revenge porn for the metaphysical age. I'd laughed it off, scanning Victoria's face during a family Zoom last month, her Botox smooth skin and Botox fake smile popping up on my screen. But tonight, with the eggnog burning in my veins and the betrayal fresh as the carved ham, I hit initiate. The hum intensified, my vision blurring like a bad acid trip. The solarium spun, palm fronds whipping like lashes, and then blackness. When I came to, I was staring at my own face in the ornate gilt mirror by the wet bar.
No.
Not my face. Her face on my body. Wait, fuck. I blinked, and the reflection blinked back. Victoria's sharp cheekbones, her ash blonde bob, her lips painted blood red. I was in her skin. And across the room, in the body of Luna, the scrawny barista with the faded tattoo on her wrist, stood.
Me? No.
It was Victoria, gaping at her hands, her perfectly arched brows furrowing in horror. Panic hit like a freight train. but so did power. Pure, electric, the kind that makes your veins sing. Victoria now smoothed my skirt, her silk Diane von Furstenberg sheath, hugging curves I'd only envied, and stepped toward the door. Luna? Ethan's voice called from the dining room, slurred with too much Merlot. You okay, sis? Dad's asking for pie. I froze, then let out a laugh. Her laugh, throaty and laced with bourbon notes. Coming, darling. I purred, channeling every rom-com villainess I'd binge-watched on Hulu. The swap was real. And in her body, I had access to everything. Her phone, her laptop, her goddamn life. The keys to the kingdom where she'd buried me alive. That night, as the family crashed in their wing of the house, Dad snoring off the scotch, Ethan FaceTiming his frat buddies from Brown, I rifled through Victoria's office like a fox in the henhouse. The room was a shrine to excess, mahogany desk imported from some Milan auction, walls lined with first editions she pretended to read, and a safe behind the Rothko knockoff that screamed, old money cosplay. Combination? Her wedding date, July 14th, 18. Pathetic. Inside, ledgers, encrypted drives, and a manila folder labeled contingencies. My hands, her hands, steady as a surgeon's, flipped it open. There it was, the smoking gun I'd suspected but never proven. Emails to a fixer in Jersey, payoffs to the DA's office to pin the contractor's death on me. Teenage rebellion gone wrong. The report read, witness tampering unnecessary, girl's prints on the scene, voluntary confession under duress. Duress? Dad's tears and Victoria's honeyed threats. Do this for us, Luna. Or watch your father lose everything. Rage boiled, but I tamped it down. Revenge isn't a sprint. It's a marathon with landmines. I plugged in her laptop, the one with the facial recognition that now scanned her face without a hitch. Passwords auto-filled. Offshore accounts in the Caymans, siphoning Dad's profits into her personal slush fund. $500,000 last quarter alone, funneled to that contractor's widow to keep her quiet. The widow who'd testified against me, her eyes dead as she whispered, the girl did it. I saw. Lies, all of it. Victoria wasn't just a gold digger. She was a puppeteer, strings attached to everyone. Even Ethan, his generous tuition at Brown, wired from her Cayman pot, not Dad's hard work. By dawn, as the first light crept over the Long Island Sound, I had a plan. Step 1. Isolate her. I texted Ethan from her phone, me as Victoria. Darling, Luna's not feeling well. Send her home early? I'll handle breakfast. He bought it hook, line, and sinker, ushering me, the real Victoria in my body, into the waiting Uber with a pat on the back. Rest up, sis. Love you.
Love.
The word tasted like ash. As the taillights faded down the winding drive, I turned to Dad, serving him coffee in the sunroom. Richard, we need to talk about Luna. His eyes widened behind his bifocals, still sharp at 65, the hedge fund king who'd built empires on leveraged bets. What's wrong, Vic? I laid it out slow, like reeling in a marlin. Her erratic behavior, the missing cash from the household account, siphoned by me that night, $50,000 wired to a burner. Fabrications, yes, but seeded with truths, her late nights, the perfume that wasn't Chanel. By noon, he'd called a family meeting, just the three of us in the library. Victoria, trapped in my threadbare jeans and hoodie, stammered denials, her voice cracking in my untrained timbre. Dad, this is insane. She's lying, I'm Luna. He stared, then at me, poised, tearful Victoria, clutching a forged diary I'd printed from her templates, entries confessing to framing me, to the affair, to the roofies. It's over, Luna, he said, voice like gravel. Security's on the way. You'll get help, but not here. She lunged, my body, all wiry desperation, but the guards, ex-Marine's dad kept on payroll, pinned her. As they dragged her out, screaming my name, her name now, I leaned in close, whispering in her ear with her own honeyed drawl, welcome to my hell, mother. The slam of the ambulance doors echoed like a guillotine. Schizophrenic episode, they'd call it. Locked ward at Silver Hill, the the ritziest loony bin in New Canaan. I'd seen the paperwork in her safe. Contingency plans for instability. Poetic, really? But power's a drug, and I was hooked. In Victoria's skin, I was untouchable. Board meetings via Zoom from the home office, charming investors with her patented blend of flirt and finance. Darlings, let's double down on that EV startup. Climate's the new gold rush. They ate it up, stock ticking up 8% overnight. Ethan? I mothered him harder, late-night pep talks about law school apps, baking his favorite snickerdoodles from a recipe I'd Googled. He confided in me, her, about the pressure, the coke-fueled parties to blow off steam. You're the only one who gets it, Mom. I nodded, filing it away. Leverage. Weeks blurred, the swap held, that glitchy app pinging, extension granted, like some digital devil. I audited her life. The lover in the city, a silver fox attorney who thought he owned her, the charity galas where she preened for the society pages. I ghosted the attorney with a curt email, "It's over, NDA or ruin," and donated her slush fund to Women's Shelters Anonymous, just to watch her empire crumble from afar. Dad? He softened toward Victoria, confiding his regrets over brandy in the study. I failed Luna, Vic. That juvie stint. It broke her. I squeezed his hand, her ring biting into my palm. You did what you had to, Richard. For us. But cracks formed. Mirrors lied. I'd catch my reflection and flinch at the stranger staring back. And Victoria, drugged and therapied in Silver Hill, started slipping messages through a sympathetic nurse I'd bribed with her petty cash. Scribbled notes on contraband paper. I know it's you. End this. I burned them in the fireplace, but doubt crept in like damp rot. What if the swap broke? What if she convinced a shrink it was real? The board whispered, Victoria's erratic decisions, the sudden philanthropy. Ethan pulled away, eyes narrowing at Mom's too perfect recall of his childhood secrets. By spring, the pressure cooker whistled. Dad announced a gala, our annual black tie fundraiser for the arts, Connecticut elite descending on the estate like vultures in Versace. Victoria, would MC, dazzling them in her custom Vera Wang. But as I rehearsed lines in the master bath, steam from the rain shower fogging the glass, my phone buzzed. Not the app. A news alert. Silver Hill escapee. Daughter claims identity theft in family feud.
Shit.
She'd bolted, my body gaunt and feral from the meds, ranting to reporters about body swaps and buried sins. The press swarmed. CNN vans on the lawn, paparazzi scaling the gates. Dad locked down the house, but the damage was viral. Greenwich ghost trending, memes of crazy Luna, haunting Twitter. I barricaded in the panic room. Marble-clad bunker beneath the wine cellar, stocked for Armageddon. Monitors flickered. Victoria, me, pounding the front door, flanked by cops she'd conned with tales of abuse. She's the imposter. Check the app, Soul Swap. It's real. Delusional ravings, but the seed was planted. Ethan burst in via the side entrance, face ashen.
Mom?
What the hell's going on? Luna says. She says you're not you. I grabbed him. Too rough, her manicure scratching his cheek. Ethan, baby, listen. She's unhinged. The accident, the drugs, it fried her brain. But his eyes darted to the safe, half open from my last frenzy, ledgers spilling like guts. That's when the twist hit, harder than a market crash.
He didn't buy it.
Instead, he pulled a USB from his pocket, tiny, innocuous. I found this in your desk. Downloaded it weeks ago. Victoria's voice, my voice now, filled the room from the laptop, an audio file, time-stamped last Christmas. Richard, Luna knows too much. The contractor?
She saw.
We frame her, or we lose it all.
We.
Not she. Not Victoria alone. Dad's voice gravelly. Do it. For the family. And mine, Luna's young and broken. Please, Dad. I won't tell. The betrayal wasn't hers. It was his. We conspired together, Victoria and Dad, but I'd confessed to the cops on my own, protecting him, thinking blood meant loyalty. Ethan had the full recording, pieced from backups he'd hacked for a school project on cybersecurity. "You both did this to her," he spat. "And now you're wearing her skin like a trophy." The door to the panic room buckled, cops breaching with a ram. I lunged for the USB, but Ethan held firm, his brown boy softness gone, replaced by a fire I'd never seen. "End it, Luna. Or whatever you are." The app on the hidden phone pinged. Swap reversal imminent. 60 seconds. Time fractured. Victoria, my body, burst through, eyes wild, locking on herself. We collided, a tangle of limbs not our own, her fists, my fists, raining down as sirens wailed. Pain bloomed real, raw, no filters. Then the hum returned, the world inverting like a bad trip's come down. I woke on the cold tile, back in my skin, scarred knuckles, faded tattoo, the works. Victoria groaned beside me, her face a mask of bruises and Botox. Dad stood over us, face carved from stone, Ethan at his side with the phone recording everything. "Luna," Dad said, no warmth left. "Tell me it's over." But it wasn't. The cops hauled Victoria away, real charges this time, fraud, conspiracy, the works. Dad confessed too. Plea deal for a reduced sentence. 5 years at Club Fed, white-collar wing.
Ethan?
He vanished to Europe, gap year turned exile. Last text to me. "Sorry, sis. For everything." As for me, I kept the house. Foreclosure dodged with Dad's assets liquidated for victims' funds. The necklace? Pawned it for a down payment on a tiny apartment in Brooklyn, where the subways rattle like unresolved grudges. I work nights at a dive bar now, slinging IPAs to hipsters who romanticize broken families. Therapy's a joke, some park slope shrink droning about boundaries. But at night, when the city hums like that cursed app, I wonder, did I win? Or just trade one cage for another? Revenge tasted sweet, but the aftertaste? Bitter as black coffee on an empty stomach. And yeah, it keeps you up, arguing with ghosts. Was Victoria the monster? Or was I the mirror she held up? Hell if I know. But this Christmas, I'll toast alone, to tables turned, and the price we pay when they flip back. The fallout from that Christmas imploded like a house of cards in a hurricane, but I didn't crumble. Not yet. Brooklyn suited me, gritty, unapologetic, the kind of place where nobody asks about your rap sheet over pierogies at a Polish joint on Avenue D. I crashed in a walk-up above a laundromat, the spin cycle syncing with my nightmares. Victoria's screams echoing in the panic room, Dad's defeated slump as the Fed slapped cuffs on his Tom Ford slacks. The headlines called it the Greenwich swap scandal. Tabloid gold, with psychics on Fox News speculating about demonic possession and therapists on NPR dissecting familial Munchausen. I ghosted the lot, deleted every social from my ancient iPhone 8.
But Ethan?
He haunted me like a bad penny. It started with postcards, stiff cards from hostels in Prague, Berlin, scrawled in his looping script. "Sis, you saved me from becoming them. Don't hate me."
Saved?
Bullshit. I'd worn his mother's skin like a second chance, only to watch it slough off in the end. But hate?
Nah.
That was too clean an emotion. What festered was the what-ifs. What if I'd ended the swap sooner? What if I'd burned those ledgers instead of playing God? By summer, the postcards turned to emails from a Proton Mail ghost account. Found this in Dad's safe after the auction, thoughts. Attached, a grainy photo of a locket, tarnished silver, engraved with V and R forever. Victoria and Richard. Inside, a lock of hair, dark as mine, and a note. "Our little secret, born June 12th, 04. My birthday, June 12th, 2004. The math hit like a gut punch. I was 9 when Mom died, 12 when Victoria arrived. Dad's affair? It predated the prenup by years. I wasn't the patsy. I was the product. A bastard daughter from his mistress days, hushed up with boarding school tuition and accidental overdoses. Victoria knew. Hell, she'd weaponized it, framing me to cement her claim as the real matriarch. The locket? Proof. Blackmail fodder she'd stashed away, in case Dad ever grew a spine. Ethan had mailed it from Amsterdam, no return address, but the subtext screamed, "Dig deeper, Luna. The graves aren't full yet." I didn't. Not at first. I threw myself into the bar gig. Last call. A dive off Bedford Avenue where the craft beer flows like regret and the jukebox favors Johnny Cash over Taylor Swift. Tips were decent. Regulars called me Moonbeam, a nod to my name and the crescent scar on my cheek from a juvie brawl. But the locket burned a hole in my sock drawer, whispering temptations. One bourbon-soaked night, after closing with a divorcee who cried into her old-fashioned about, she said, custody wars, I caved. Fired up the laptop, a refurbished Dell from a pawn shop on Myrtle, and dove into the dark web. SoulSwap was gone. Apps scrubbed like a hit, but forums buzzed. Extensions possible? PM for deets. Paranoid threads, laced with warnings about echo swaps, lingering psyches, like radio static from the other side. A contact surfaced. Ghost 9, handle of a Silicon Valley dropout peddling beta code for permanent trades, $5,000 wired via crypto, and he'd send a patch. I scraped it together. Tips, plasma donations, a garage sale of Dad's golf clubs shipped from storage. The patch arrived encrypted. Install instructions in Hacker Pigeon. Sync neural map. Target, deceased. Risk, bleed. Deceased. My mind reeled to Mom. Elena Vasquez, the artist who'd painted murals in Soho lofts before Dad's money turned her into a kept woman. Dead at 32. Accidental, benzo overdose in our old Upper East Side brownstone. But what if? The locket's hair, the dates. What if Elena wasn't the mistress? What if Victoria was? The patch loaded with a whine, my laptop fan screaming like a banshee. AR goggles, knockoffs from AliExpress, clamped over my eyes, and the room dissolved into code rain, Matrix style. Target acquisition, a synth voice intoned. I fed it scraps. Mom's obit photo, yellowed from a shoebox, Victoria's maiden name, culled from a paywalled ancestry site. The hum returned, deeper this time, burrowing into my skull like roots. Vision tunneled, Brooklyn brownstones warping into a Soho loft, paint-splattered canvases, and the scent of turpentine. Then her.
Elena.
Not the ghost I'd imagined, but flesh, mid-30s, wild curls framing a face that was mine, but softer, eyes green as absinthe. Luna? Her voice, accented faint from her Puerto Rican roots.
Mi niña.
What have they done? It wasn't a swap. Not fully. More like a merge, her essence bleeding into mine, memories flooding like a busted levee. Flashes. Dad's hands on Victoria in a hotel bar. 2003, her laugh brittle as she palmed a keycard. Elena walking in, 9 months swollen, heart shattering like cheap crystal. They overdose. Pills slipped into her wine by Victoria herself, a favor to clear the path. And me? Shipped off to relatives in Jersey, then adopted back when Dad's guilt peaked, only for Victoria to rewrite the narrative. Stepdaughter, not blood. The affair, the frame-up, it was all to bury Elena's truth, to make Victoria the unchallenged queen. I ripped off the goggles, gasping, the loft fading back to my sweatbox apartment. But Elena lingered, a whisper in my ear, her laugh echoing when I poured coffee. Fight, Mija. For us. Empowerment, yeah, but laced with madness. The bar noticed. Regulars joked about my glow-up, but the boss sidelined me to stock shifts after I shattered a pint glass mid-pour, shards drawing blood that looked too much like paint strokes. Ethan emailed again. Coming back.
Need to talk.
July 4th, Coney Island. Don't ghost. Fireworks over the boardwalk, crowds thick as thieves. I went, Elena's voice urging me on like a patron saint of grudges. He looked older, sunburned, backpack slung low, the brown polish eroded by Euro hostels. We walked the pier, Nathan's famous hot dogs cooling in our hands, the Atlantic crashing below like unresolved fury. I sold the locket to a collector, he said, no preamble. Enough to hire a PI. Turns out Mom, Victoria, had a kid before me. Stillborn, 2002. She was obsessed with Dad, stalked him for years. Elena was just collateral. Collateral. The word ignited Elena's fire in my chest. And you? I pressed, voice steady despite the waves. Why now? He stopped, fireworks blooming red, white, blue over the cyclone. Because you're my sister, Luna. Blood or not. And I think we can take them down. For good.
Them.
Victoria, out on bail pending trial, house arrest in a Hamptons rental, lawyered up with the best money could buy. Dad, in minimum security, writing letters from his cell. Forgive me, daughter. It was for the Empire. Empire.
Fuck that.
Ethan had the PI's dossier, bank records, witness statements from Elena's old Soho crowd, even a DNA test kit he'd swiped from Dad's effects. We met in a nondescript diner off the BQE, nursing bottomless Joe as he laid it out. Victoria's pushing a psych defense, says the swap was real. You're the unstable one. Unstable. Elena chuckled in my head. Let her play crazy, Mija. We'll show them mad. The plan coalesced over greasy eggs. Infiltrate her world again, but smarter. No apps, no metaphysics, just old school con. Ethan, the prodigal son, would visit under reconciliation pretense, plant a bug in her smart home hub. I'd pose as a journalist, freelance stringer for a true crime pod, Greenwich Ghosts.
Credential?
Forged from a Fiverr gig, slick as sin. The interview? Her coup de grace, on camera, lulled into spilling by Ethan's support. We rehearsed in my apartment, Elena's memories guiding my pitch, soft questions laced with bait. Victoria, tell me about Elena. Was she a threat? The Hamptons estate was a fortress, gated, patrolled by private security that eyed my beater Honda like it carried anthrax. But Ethan vouched, pulling up in his leased Audi, playing the dutiful son to the hilt. Mom needs this, Luna. Closure. She bought it, or pretended to, ushering us into a sun-drenched parlor overlooking the dunes, her ash blonde streaked with defeat, but eyes still shark-sharp. Darling, she cooed to Ethan, pecking his cheek. And you, Luna, was it? The pod girl. Make it quick. I set up the mics, discreet, lavalier style, while Elena seethed in my veins. Lies, all lies. It flowed easy at first, her philanthropy, the tragic misunderstandings. But I probed, gentle as a scalpel. The contractor's death. Rumors say you were involved. And Elena? Some say she didn't take her own life. Her laugh tinkled, but the bug caught the tremor. Darling, tabloid trash. Elena was weak. Addicts always are.
Weak.
The word was the match. Ethan leaned in, voice cracking. But the baby mom? Luna's. Our sisters? Silence, thick as fog off the sound. Then she cracked, whispers turning to snarls. That child was mine. Stolen by that whore. I fixed it. Pills in her glass, the crash for the lover who knew too much. Richard understood. Family first. The recorder word on, capturing gold. Admissions, timelines, the safes combo rattled off in a frenzy. July 14th, 18 our day. Elena's joy surged. Justice, Mija. As Victoria realized the trap, lunging for the mic, Ethan blocked her, security bursting in at our prearranged signal, a panic button on his watch. Cops swarmed, her screams devolving to sobs. Ethan. My boy. He turned away, face stone. Not anymore. Back in Brooklyn, as the amended charges hit, murder 1, conspiracy, fraud, we celebrated with takeout lo mein and a six-pack. Ethan crashed on my couch, the first night in years we'd shared space without blood on the walls. What now? He asked, fireworks from a distant block popping like afterthoughts. I shrugged, Elena's whisper fading to a contented hum. Therapy? College? Normal shit. But normal was a myth. The pod dropped the day after, true crime sensation, my byline splashed across Apple Podcasts. Royalties trickled in, enough for a better place, maybe community college for that paralegal cert. Yet, as fall leaves turned the East River crimson, doubt gnawed. Dad's letters piled up, pleas for visits. I did it for you, Luna. To keep you safe. Safe. From what? The truth? Victoria's trial loomed, December, fittingly, and Ethan pushed to testify. End it clean.
Clean.
But Elena stirred. What if he walks? Empires rebuild. The locket's ghost, the merge's echo. It tempted a final play. A visit to Club Fed, perhaps. A whispered patch code. One last swap, to make him feel the fall. December rolled in like a verdict, snow dusting the prison gates in ironic whitewash. Otisville Federal, upstate New York, a country club for crooks with MBAs, loomed gray against the pines, barbed wire glinting like false promises. Ethan drove, our Honda groaning up the Taconic Parkway, radio tuned low to NPR's rap on Victoria's plea. Guilty on all counts, 30 to life in Bedford Hills, no parole. The Ice Queen melts, the anchor quipped, but I felt no thrill. Just a hollow, like downing flat beer. Elena's presence had ebbed since the Hamptons bust, faint echoes in dreams, her paint-stained hands guiding mine over canvases I sketched in stolen moments. Art therapy, the shrink called it. I called it haunting. Dad waited in the visitation room, orange jumpsuit clashing with his silver mane, but the eyes, those hedge fund hawk eyes, still schemed. Luna.
Ethan.
You came. No hugs, just plexiglass and a handset, his voice tinny through the receiver. Ethan gripped his tight, knuckles white.
For closure, Dad.
Not forgiveness. Dad nodded, performative sage. I deserve the rot.
Victoria.
She twisted me. The money, the power, it blinded. Blinded. Elena snorted in my skull, liar. He chose the crown. I stayed silent, studying him, the man who'd framed his own blood for a fortune built on bones. The talk meandered. Prison food, better than juvie slop, I quipped, earning his wince. Ethan's plans, NYU law, scholarships greased by the pod royalties. Then the pivot. Luna, there's a trust. Untouched.
For you.
Offshore, access it. Build something. His smile crooked. Empire's yours now. Empire. The word ignited the embers. Back in the car, Ethan fumed. Don't. It's blood money. But I pocketed the coordinates, whispered, Cayman routing number like a loaded gun. That night, in my upgraded Astoria walk-up, one bedroom, Riverview, thanks to the pod bump, I wired in.
Cifrão 2.3 mil, liquide assim.
Elena purred, take it. Burn it. Make it ours. The decision crystallized over midnight ramen, not revenge, but reckoning. A controversial one, the kind that splits dinner tables from Scarsdale to Santa Monica. I'd liquidate the fund, Dad's legacy, Victoria's venom, and redirect it. Not to shelters or scholarships, safe bets.
No.
To the ghosts, a foundation for collateral daughters, aiding women framed in family feuds, with grants for artists like Elena, creators crushed by the elite. Controversial? Hell yes. Lawsuits flew. Creditors claiming fraudulent conveyance, Dad's old board cronies howling about betrayal. Op-eds in the Times. Is justice vengeance in drag? Pundits on MSNBC debated my moral ambiguity, while Fox called me a spoiled ingrate.
Good.
Let them argue. That's the American way, messy, loud, capitalist to the core. Ethan bailed early, law school orientation, or maybe the weight of our shared sins. Proud of you, sis, his last text read. But call if it eats you. It did. Nights, I'd pace the fire escape, city lights blurring through tears, Elena's voice a lullaby. You are enough, Mija. No crowns needed. The foundation launched in spring. Glitzy gala at the Whitney, donors wary but intrigued by the swap scandal survivor. I emceed in a thrift store gown. No Vera Wong bullshit, toasting to the women who clean up messes they didn't make. Cheers thundered, but backstage, nausea hit. Was this absolution? Or just another con? Luna the philanthropist masking Luna the Avenger? The twist came unbidden, a FedEx from Otisville, no return, but Dad's scrawl unmistakable. Inside, a single page, yellowed legal brief from 2003.
Vasquez Harrington, paternity suit dismissed.
Elena's lawsuit, quashed by Dad's lawyers with payoffs and threats. But the kicker? A postscript handwritten. She wasn't the mistress, Luna. I was hers first. Victoria stole me, but you are our light. Forgive?
No.
Understand? Please.
Light.
The word gutted me. Not Patsy, not product, love child of a doomed romance, collateral only in the crossfire. Dad hadn't framed me to protect the Empire. He'd done it to shield me from Victoria's wrath, believing her lies about finishing the job like she had Elena. Twisted logic, paternal delusion, but real. The merge, the swaps, they'd been echoes of his original sin, choosing power over heart. I burned the brief in the sink, flames licking high, smoke alarm shrieking like a confession. Elena faded then, fully, her laugh one last sigh. Free now, mi amor. The foundation thrived, scandals begetting headlines, grants flowing to single moms in the Bronx sketching dreams on napkins. But me? I dated a bar regular, tattooed bassist, easy smiles, no empires, just dive shows and diner hash. Normalcy's veneer, cracked by doubts, had the revenge healed or hollowed? Dad died in custody, heart attack, official, karma, my whisper. Victoria rotted in her cell, appeals denied. Ethan visited for holidays, awkward toasts over turkey. To turn tables. Last Christmas, I strung lights on my Astoria stoop, fairy glow against the chill, and invited strays. The pod producer, a shelter mom I'd funded, even a juvie alum from my old cell block. No fruitcake, just pie from the corner Greek spot. As snow fell, soft as forgotten grudges, I raised a glass to secrets unearthed and the hell we claw out of. They clinked, strangers turned kin. But in the quiet after, alone with the hum of the city, I wondered. Victory or vanity? Savior or scavenger? The tables turn, sure, but they spin, too, leaving you dizzy, debating the dance. And that's the rub, America style. No neat bows, just the fight, the fallout, and the fire that forges you forward. Or breaks you. Your call.